Hey you guys, and welcome back. So I wanted to do this video as a thank you to a gentleman by the name of Rick Steves. And for those of you who may be saying that name sounds familiar, he is the gentleman who used to do like shows and videos. I think they have like a DVD series to where he just traveled around the world and talked about different locations and showcased the food and attractions and things like that. And it used to come on TV. I think it used to come on PBS, and I used to watch it on the weekends. And also at the library, they also have DVDs of some of his back shows. And so I used to always just love watching him just travel around and get to see things that I otherwise wouldn't get to see. But the reason why I was wanting to do this video was because I saw a video done by a black male here on YouTube who was whining and moaning about the fact that this man had donated a $4 million apartment complex that was going to be used to house homeless women and children. And I think what really set him and his followers off is the fact that the picture that he used showed him standing with black women and their black children that had been abandoned by their black fathers, which is why they were single mothers. And so I think that kind of is what set them off, because he started talking about how in the West men are raised to be chivalrous and things of that nature, which that may be overall true, but as we know, as black women and black people in the black community, most black males are not raised to be chivalrous. Even the ones who are raised by single black mothers, they are not raised to be chivalrous. And so he was upset, one, that people were not referring to this as chivalry. I guess it's really important for people to be using the terminology that he deems fit or otherwise is invalid. I'm not exactly sure. Also, he was decrying the fact that it was not a co-ed building for housing black men, because he said black men are mostly impacted by homelessness. And here's the thing that I thought was very interesting about that, because this man who did this, Mr. Steves, he's a private citizen, right? He's not a government entity. So this particular black man who did this video, he's a doctor. Okay, he's a doctor and he's a professor. And many of the people who watch his channel are black men who have jobs, who have incomes, who have businesses. So my thing is, if it's such an issue, then, and I've suggested this before, and I still can't get an answer as to why black men can't do this, but if black men view this as such an issue, why don't black men come together and purchase and build this housing for black men themselves? Now, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, okay? But I would like to present the opinion that the reason why black men never do this, or why black men never think to do this, is because most black men really don't want to deal with other black men anyway, which is why they are always whining and crying about other people doing things for black men, because black men themselves don't really want to deal with other black men. Because these men who are on this channel are, I wouldn't imagine that the majority of them are homeless. I don't know, they might be. But the leader of that channel, the owner of that channel, like I said, is a doctor and a college professor. And so when you look at his videos, he has like at least 4 or 5 different ways for people to send in donations and money to him. So there would be no reason why he and some of the other high value men and some of the other black men whose channels he has gone on, who consider themselves to be high value masculine black men, cannot come together and take some of those donations or pool their money and start to create these communities for homeless black men. But instead, they are upset because another race of man doesn't go out of his way to take care of and provide for black men. This is odd to me, right? That you have a full-grown black man looking at another man and saying that he shouldn't go to help single mothers and their children. He should have made that co-ed to also help homeless black men, because they're represented in the homeless population more than black women. I'm not exactly sure what that has to do with anything, but anyone of sound mind can put together that if you are helping a single parent, let's just leave women out of it, but a single parent who is trying to raise their kids, who is trying to get back on their feet, and those children are going to grow up to be adults and live in the community or live in the world, that it would be better, it would go further, your investment will go further if you support the people who are raising the future generation. This is also strange to me because, as you know, like on my channel, I've talked about this before, how black men would be very upset because they feel like they're getting left out from being able to qualify for assistance, government assistance like welfare and Section 8 and things like that. But the thing about it is not that it's just men can't get it. You have to qualify for it. Like even with women, if you are single and you don't have any kids, it would be very hard for you to be able to qualify. I mean, you have to be just scraping the very, very bottom of the barrel in order to qualify for many of these services. So it's not just that it's geared towards women, it's geared towards people who meet a certain criteria. Because there are plenty of men who are together with their families who are eligible and do receive these services and this assistance. But it's just odd to me that you have a group of men who are wanting other people to subsidize their lives just because they're black men, right? They see someone else getting something and they don't think about what you have to do, how you have to qualify, what kind of condition you have to be in, what you're going through. They don't think about any of that. All they think about is that person over there is getting something and they won't give it to me. And it's because they're just out to get the black man. And so especially when they see black women getting anything, because it's not enough that, you know, black women are being made single mothers because black men are choosing to leave the mothers of their children and their children to fend for themselves. But in all this talk among them about black male masculinity and high value this and high value that, that particular issue is never addressed among them. And they even go a step further that not only do they not want to address this issue and this problem in the black community, but then they get upset and they throw temper tantrums and daggers and shade and spoiled tea and everything else at anyone else who dares to offer any sort of assistance to black women and the future black men and black women in the black community. Now, I'm sure there are other races of women who have been helped by this man's generous donation, but just the mere fact that there were black women benefited at all, any of them, because these men refer to, it's not our children, as in the, you know, the black community's children, is he's helping these women and their children. They remove black men from it at all. It's like they believe some unicorn, ghost, black male from an alternate universe came and just popped this baby into this black woman's stomach, and then he just evaporated and he no longer exists. No care, no concern, even though they keep talking about black boys this and black boys are in trouble and black boys need help. Well, I'm sure that some of these children is not just black little girls, which I don't even understand why you would have an issue with that. I don't know what little black girls or little black boys have done to these big grown black men to where they are just so hateful and so spiteful that someone would even have any sort of love or kindness or care or concern for the people in our community that these men evidently and so obviously have disdain and hatred for. It's not coming out of their pocket. And so I want to put us in a different sort of mind state as black women, right? Because so many times, especially on social media, because the social media platforms allow such blatant and just vicious hatred to be spewed out against black women. So I know it's kind of easy for us to be inundated with all of the whining and the griping and complaining and the accusations and the name calling and the meanness and all of this stuff. But there are stories like this where you just need to stop and appreciate those who are willing to help. We should be making sure to say thank you to those who help and assist our fellow black women and our babies who are going to have a hard enough time because they only have one parent who is there But then to have other people come in and to look and to see that and to recognize how hard it is and the struggle, and to have compassion on us, on our people, on our sisters, on our babies. We should take a moment to say thank you to those people, especially because you know that you have black men like this who are going to be throwing daggers at them. So it's good to let people know that you appreciate their kindness and their compassion in them expressing their humanity. Because in today's time, we see a lot of the opposite. So it's good to take in some goodness and some compassion every now and then, so that you don't get overwhelmed and think that everyone in the world is just hateful and mean and nasty and wishes the worst for you. It's good to take in the good stuff too, and to appreciate those who go out of their way to be considerate enough to think of others. I have a few posts that I just put up on the community tab of some stories where black women, elderly black women, are being attacked by these high value men for some reason. And I don't know if it's the drugs doing this or what, because in many of the cases they're on drugs. And for some reason the drugs keep telling them to strip down naked before they go to break in somebody's house. So you have people who are high on drugs, stripping down naked and attempting to break into the homes of elderly black women, sometimes in their 70s and in their 80s. And luckily, the stories that I've seen are of women who have been able to defend themselves and fend these people off. But it makes me concerned and worried about how many stories that we don't see to where they're not able to do so. And so when you hear people talking about this, defund the police, abolish the police, I want you to kind of think of those situations. And for those of you who actually love your family members, love your mothers and your fathers who are elderly, your grandmothers and your grandfathers, I want you to think about this seriously, because I keep asking people, okay, well, if you abolish the police, if you get rid of them, then who are people going to call when there is a crime being committed against them? And I'm asking just because I don't know. I don't know what plan they have in place. So I'm asking out of curiosity so we can, share information, but I'm not getting any answers. So to those police officers who show up and care about people and are concerned and to help, our people when they're vulnerable and they don't have anyone else who they can depend on or call on, because I didn't see anyone else in those homes, no sons. I don't know if they have sons and maybe they just don't live with them, but I didn't see anyone else in those homes with those elderly women. There were no grown men there in that home to look out for and protect those elderly women. I didn't hear her say, well, I started screaming and hollering and my black male neighbor came running and helped me and defended me and got him off of me and got him away from me. I didn't hear them saying any of that. So thank you to those police officers who showed up and helped and assisted our mothers and our grandmothers when they needed it, when their sons were out in the street doing God knows what with God knows who. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I will be so happy to have you. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.